What if I told you that one of the greatest challenges facing humanity isn't overpopulation, but exactly the opposite? Across the globe, from Japan to Italy, South Korea to Spain, birth rates are plummeting to historic lows. We're witnessing a demographic transformation unprecedented in human history. The implications are profound and far-reaching. Collapsing economies, unsustainable pension systems, and societies struggling to care for their elderly. Today, we'll explore how our shrinking population will fundamentally reshape our world and what it means for your future. The global picture. For decades, we worried about having too many people on the planet. Population experts warned of resource depletion and environmental catastrophe if growth continued unchecked. But something unexpected happened. The global fertility rate, the average number of children born to each woman, has plummeted over the past half-century, from around 5 children per woman in the 1950s to just 2.3 today. More than half of all countries worldwide are now below the replacement level of 2.1 births per woman, the magic number needed to maintain a stable population without immigration. This isn't just happening in wealthy nations. The trend is spreading globally, with fertility declining on every continent. What's more shocking is the speed of this decline. What took the United Kingdom 95 years, dropping from 6 children per woman to 3, happened in South Korea in just 18 years. And South Korea didn't stop there, plunging to a world record low of 0.78 children per woman in recent years. If current trends continue, we're looking at a world where many countries' populations will halve by the end of the century. Global population may peak around 2050, then begin a sustained decline, something that hasn't happened since the Black Death in the 14th century. The causes. So why is this happening? The answer isn't simple. It's a perfect storm of social, economic, and cultural factors converging simultaneously across diverse societies. First, women's education and workforce participation have revolutionized family formation. As women gain more opportunities beyond motherhood, they often choose to delay having children or have fewer overall. Then there's the economic reality. Simply put, children have become incredibly expensive to raise. In the United States, estimates suggest that raising a child born in 2015 to age 17 will cost around $310,000 on average, not including college. In South Korea and Japan, the pressure to provide expensive private education makes children an even greater financial burden. Urbanization plays a critical role too. In agricultural societies, children were economic assets who could help on the farm. In cities, they become financial liabilities. As humanity has urbanized, our fertility has plummeted. The housing crisis compounds these issues. In many countries, young adults struggle to afford suitable housing for families, leading to delayed marriages and childbearing. Social norms have shifted dramatically as well. In previous generations, having children was simply what adults did. Today, childlessness is increasingly viewed as a valid life choice, with many prioritizing personal fulfillment and careers over parenthood. Finally, there's what demographers call the demographic economic paradox, the counterintuitive reality that as countries become wealthier, they tend to have fewer children. This pattern has held across extremely different cultures and political systems, from Catholic Italy to atheist China. Country case studies. Let's examine how this crisis is playing out in specific countries. South Korea stands as the most dramatic example. Once known for large families, South Korea now has the world's lowest fertility rate at 0.78 children per woman, far below the replacement level of 2.1. What happened? A perfect storm of factors: astronomical housing costs in Seoul, an ultra-competitive education system, ingrained gender inequalities, and a work culture that makes balancing career and family nearly impossible. The South Korean government has spent over $270 billion on pro-natal policies since 2006, offering everything from cash bonuses for new babies to subsidized housing for young families. Despite these massive investments, only recently has there been a slight uptick in 2025, with the rate rising to 0.75, still extremely low by global standards. Japan presents an equally concerning picture. Its population has been shrinking since 2008, with 2023 marking the 8th consecutive year of record low births. Already, Japan is experiencing what demographers call a demographic time bomb. Rural towns emptying out, schools closing, and a massively imbalanced ratio of working-age citizens to retirees. Singapore offers another instructive case study. Once focused on controlling population growth with its Stop at 2 policy in the 1970s, Singapore's government has completely reversed course as its fertility rate plummeted to 0.97 in 2023. Despite implementing aggressive pro-natal policies, including cash incentives of up to $18,000 for families with 5 or more children, extended parental leave, and subsidized fertility treatments, Singapore continues to see declining birth rates. The issue has become so severe that policymakers now openly acknowledge they'll need to rely on immigration to maintain population levels. Moving to Europe, Italy and Spain have some of the lowest fertility rates on the continent, both hovering around 1.2 children per woman. In 2023, the EU experienced its largest annual decline in births in decades, with the total fertility rate dropping to 1.38 births per woman. Spain offers a particularly dramatic case study. In the 1970s, Spain had one of the highest fertility rates in Europe. Today, it has one of the lowest. UN projections suggest Spain's population could halve by the end of this century if current trends continue. Even China, long associated with overpopulation concerns and the infamous one-child policy, is now desperately trying to encourage more births and began declining in 2022 for the first time in 6 decades. In English-speaking countries, the pattern is similar, though less extreme. The United States saw its fertility rate drop to a historic low of 1.66 children per woman in 2021, with a further decline to 1.62 in 2023. The UK's fertility rate stands at 1.49 children per woman as of 2022, the lowest in decades. Australia's rate has fallen to 1.50. And Canada's situation is even more concerning at 1.26 children per woman. The consequences. The societal implications of these demographic shifts are profound and far-reaching. Most immediately, shrinking populations mean aging populations. The ratio of working-age people to retirees is collapsing in many countries. In Japan, the ratio has fallen from 7.5 working-age adults per retiree in 1950 to just 2 today. By 2050, it's projected to be 1.3, meaning nearly 1 worker supporting each retiree. This creates enormous pressure on pension systems and healthcare. How will nations fund retirement benefits when there are fewer workers paying into the system? How will they staff hospitals and care facilities for the elderly? Labor shortages are already emerging across various sectors. In Japan, there's a shortfall of nearly 380,000 caregivers for the elderly. In Germany, 400,000 skilled workers are needed annually just to maintain the current workforce. Singapore has already begun loosening restrictions on foreign workers to address similar shortages. These shortages drive inflation and reduce economic growth. A shrinking workforce means fewer consumers, fewer entrepreneurs, and less innovation, potentially creating a spiral of economic contraction. The impact on government finances is equally concerning. In the United States, 43 states recorded their lowest fertility rates in at least 3 decades in 2020, with projections showing this will limit economic growth and tax revenue. The UK has seen births falling below deaths for the first time in nearly 50 years, raising concerns about future workforce shortages and economic sustainability. Housing markets face massive disruption too. As populations shrink, property values in many regions will collapse, potentially wiping out the main source of wealth for millions of families. Ironically, in countries like Singapore, high housing costs are cited as a major factor in low birth rates, creating a potential feedback loop. The geopolitical implications are equally serious. Nations with shrinking populations may struggle to maintain military forces and global influence. Countries that maintain higher fertility rates could gain relative power on the world stage. South Korea has identified this as a national security concern, noting the difficulty in maintaining robust armed forces with a declining young population. Potential solutions. So what can be done? 3 main approaches have emerged. First, pro-natalist policies aim to encourage higher birth rates through financial incentives and family-friendly policies. These include baby bonuses, subsidized childcare, generous parental leave, and tax benefits for parents. Hungary offers tax exemptions for mothers with 4 or more children. France provides substantial childcare subsidies that have helped maintain Europe's highest fertility rate at 1.66. In English-speaking countries, efforts have been more modest. Australia and Canada offer parental leave and childcare subsidies, while the UK provides child benefits and tax credits for families. The evidence suggests these policies can help modestly, but rarely enough to push fertility back above replacement level. Singapore shows the limits of this approach. Despite pouring billions into incentives since the 1980s, its fertility rate continues to decline. Immigration represents a second approach. Countries like Canada and Australia use immigration to offset low birth rates and maintain population growth. The United Kingdom has also relied heavily on immigration, bringing in hundreds of thousands of workers annually to sustain its tax-paying population despite political tensions around the issue. However, high levels of immigration bring political challenges, and the global supply of potential immigrants will eventually dwindle as fertility rates fall worldwide. Even Africa's fertility rate, though still high at 4.1, is declining rapidly. The third approach involves adaptation, redesigning economies and societies to function with smaller, older population. This might include raising retirement ages, increasing automation, and rethinking social security systems. Japan has pioneered many adaptations, from elder-friendly urban design to advanced robotics for elderly care and workforce augmentation. Singapore has begun allowing a higher percentage of elderly citizens to work past retirement age, with more than half of Singaporeans aged 65 to 69 still employed. We stand at a demographic crossroads unlike any in human history. For the first time, humanity is facing the prospect of sustained population decline, driven not by war, famine, or disease, but by choice. This transformation presents immense challenges, but also opportunities. A smaller population could reduce environmental pressures. More resources per person could mean higher living standards. And the urgency of these demographic shifts might force innovations in how we structure our economies and care for our elderly. What's certain is that the world of 2100 will look dramatically different from today's. The nations that thrive will be those that adapt most effectively to this new demographic reality. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, please like, subscribe, and share it with others. And let me know in the comments, do you think countries should try to boost birth rates, or should we focus on adapting to smaller populations?